to Back to the Hammer, long-awaited video showing the first playthrough at the end of issue 1 of Warhammer Combat Zone. I originally said that I was going to have some help for this, but I felt like it wasn't actually needed, as this is just a quick run through of the attacking phase of the game. So we're going to run through that, hopefully just give you a breakdown as we move through it. I've managed to get the battle mat out. I've also got my wound markers cut out from the last page of that issue, and I have my 6 dice. So we're going to get on with some action. Okay, so here we are on our first playthrough with the Terminator Space Marine Captain or Space Marine Terminator Captain and the Winged Tyranid Prime. We've got 2 characters set up as stated in the mission briefing for your first mission in the Warhammer Combat Patrol first issue. I had a read through obviously of the magazine, and this, from what I can get, is just getting the core concept of the attacking stage. So that is your hit roll, your wound roll, and your save roll for each character. So in this mission, it's a duel between the Terminator Captain and the Winged Tyranid Prime, and we're going to roll the dice to decide who is the winner. The first loser is basically the model that gets enough wounds to be removed from battle. So we're going to play through, and we're just going to have a look and see what happens. Okay, so I am going to take a picture of each one of these pages and be able to flash them up on the video, just so that you can see these as we sort of work through. I might even be able to just get them as each turn goes. So we're going to take a turn with the Tyranid. He's the first character to play. He has got 6 attacks that he can do in each hit stage. So we're going to roll 6 dice for him. We've got a hit on every number 2 and above. So he's only going to miss if we roll a 1 on any of our dice here. All right, so we've hit 6 times in our first roll with that. Now we're going to move through to the wound roll. Now we're going to see how many times the Tyranid Prime has wounded our Terminator Captain. We've got to score 3 and above with our Tyranid Prime to wound the Terminator Captain. So we've got 6 dice. Good odds that we're going to get a couple of wounds in this round then. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove every dice there that failed in that roll. So we've got 6 dice, we've only failed with 1, which was a 2 there. So we're going to take that away. Now we're going to move through to the Space Marine Terminator Captain's save rolls. Okay, so here we have got to score 3 or better to save that wound. 1 or a 2, he's going to sustain a wound, and he's going to have a wound marker placed next to him to keep track of those. So let's see how we do. Okay, so he only failed on 1 of those. He's only sustained 1 wound for that turn. So we're going to remove those. We're going to put down a wound marker there just to show we got that roll of a 2. He failed to save himself there. So we're now going to move over to our Terminator Captain's roll. Very similar to the Tyranid Prime on the hit rolls. He's got 6 hit rolls he can do in this turn. He's got to score 2 or better to wound the Tyranid Prime. So we're going to give a roll and see how he does. All right, so he's got 6 hits there. We'll now move through to do the wounding roll for our Terminator Captain. Now, whereas the Tyranid Prime was a 3 or higher to wound the Terminator Captain, our Space Marine Terminator Captain is actually, he's got to score a 4 or higher, so it's slightly more challenging to be able to wound our Prime. So we shall have a little roll and see. So we've got, okay, we've got 3 in that turn. We're going to remove these 3 dice now. So we're going to go through to the Tyrannid save rolls. I'm going to roll 3 dice at the same time. Now again, slightly different with the Tyrannid Prime save rolls. To be able to save against that wound, we have to roll a 6. So basically 1 through 5, and that Tyrannid Prime has sustained damage. So we're going to give a roll, and we're going to see how he does. All right, so he's actually saved on 2 there. So again, we're going to drop down our wound marker to keep track. So in that playthrough, we've only sustained 1 wound apiece. We're now going to skip back round to the Tyrannid, and we're going to repeat that process again. So he is a 2 or a better to hit. You're going to see how he does. So we've got 6 hits. Okay, we're now going to move through to that wound roll again. We're looking for a score of 3 or higher to wound our Terminator Captain. Okay, as far as that goes, we've wounded him with every dice. So now we're going to move through to the save rolls for our Terminator Captain. Anything that is a 1 or a 2 and he has failed, 3 or above, and the Terminator Captain blocks, parries, however you want to describe it, but he saves himself from getting wounded. So it'll be interesting to see. We've got all 6 dice have rolled through this turn. Interesting. So we've actually got 4 hits on our Space Marine Terminator Captain. He's been wounded 4 times in that turn. So we're going to drop another 4 of our wound markers. These wound markers, by the way, are on the final page of the first issue of Combat Patrol. So I've cut them out, which have been very handy. So our Terminator Captain right now sits with 5 wounds, 1 more and he's out of the game. So let's see how he does on his playthrough. So again, we're back to doing the hits roll. He has, like the Winged Prime, he has 6 hits that he can roll for this turn. And it's everything that is a 2 or a better is a hit. Okay, interesting. So we've got all dice again, hit. We're now going to take all those dice through. Again, it's slightly more challenging for the Terminator Captain to wound. He has to score 4 or higher, and whereas the Prime was a 3 or a higher. So let's see how he does. Okay, so we've got, interesting, so we've carried all 6 dice through now again to the saves roll. So our Wing Prime there was hit with all 6. Wounded with all 6. We're going to roll to see how many he saves. Bearing in mind he's now got 1 wound as well, and it's much harder for the Tyrannid Prime to dodge those attacks, I assume, because he has to roll a 6. Everything which is a 5 to a 1 on a dice roll is going to give him a sustained wound. Interesting. Okay, so he saved himself on 1. There, he's actually sustained 5 hits. We're going to drop our 5 wound markers down. All right, so at the end of both of those turns, our Winged Prime has now sustained 6 hits in that turn, or has now cumulatively acquired 6 hits in that turn. Our Terminator Captain, he acquired 5. After the first roll where they both kind of got 1 each, that's quite an interesting turnaround actually. In the next roll that we had all 6 dice carried through the hit and the wound rolls on both. Very interesting. It just shows how quickly things can turn around when you're playing through the attacking stages. That was actually quite fun. Hopefully that sort of guides anybody who wasn't sure about how this would run through. And I think it's actually quite a good idea that you sit down by yourself, take a bit of time to sort of run through that and get to grips with how the attacking stage worked. So very good. Okay, so hopefully that was a good run through of the first mission out of the Warhammer Combat Patrol magazine, going over the core concepts of the attacking stage of the game. I did have to read it at least more than once just to kind of wrap my head around it, as with the data sheets in that magazine, although it does say you would learn about those later, I did find that a little bit off-putting, because I would like to know a bit more about that, I suppose, before I went in to have my first sort of playthrough of an attacking stage. But hopefully that was pretty clear and concise for everybody. Any questions, please drop me a comment. I'll try and answer as quickly as possible. Otherwise, please stay tuned for more videos to come. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe.